By the end of this story, my neighbor lost his tenants, got fined by the police, and was forced to move out of his own house. All because I turned off my water. No shouting, no threats, no confrontation. And the most unsettling part? He still doesn't know how badly he caused it. Here's how it started. I live in Asia, and earlier this month I bought a house in the middle of the capital city. I only got it because the previous owner's family friends needed cash urgently. They hadn't lived in the country for almost 3 years, so the place had been sitting untouched. And it showed. The renovation was unfinished. The front door didn't even have a lock, just a padlock. There was no gate. Anyone could walk straight in. On my first day, I found a stranger's bike parked inside my garage. No message, no warning. I rolled it out onto the road, installed a gate that same day, and thought that would be the end of it. But that night, a man stood outside my gate knocking for 15 straight minutes. I didn't answer. I just watched as he eventually grabbed the bike and walked away. That was my first hint that this neighborhood wasn't normal. Still, things calmed down, blocked gate occasionally. People assuming the house was still abandoned. Annoying but manageable until last week. Last week, I was taking a shower when something fell off. The water pressure dropped. Not a little. A lot. And at the exact same moment, I heard my next-door neighbor's water pump kick on. Now, context matters here. My neighbor is an older guy living in a 3-story house. He lives on the lowest floor. The top 2 floors are rented out. In this part of the world, public water pressure isn't strong enough to reach rooftop tanks, so people use electric pumps. That's normal. The timing wasn't, so I waited. When his pump shut off, I turned on the taps again. Instantly full pressure. That's when my stomach dropped. Because coincidences happen, but patterns don't. And suddenly, something from the past clicked. For years, the water bills at this house had been unusually high even when no one lived here. We blamed leaks, old pipes, abandoned renovations. But standing there in that bathroom, I realized it wasn't accidental. Someone had been using this house as a free water source. And there was only one person who could have done it, but that still wasn't the worst part. I tested it again, waited for his pump, checked my taps. Same result, every time. I couldn't see where the connection was. No visible pipe, but I didn't need to see it. The pressure told the story. At some point during the 3 years this house was empty, he decided to help himself. And here's the part that really got to me. Water here is cheap. My monthly bill, even with 3 dogs, weekly car washes, and gardening, is about $5. So this wasn't about money, it was about entitlement. Someone deciding they deserved something that wasn't theirs, because they thought no one was watching. I sat on it for days. Do I confront him? Go legal? Let it go? Then I realized something. I didn't need to confront him at all. What I did next was almost laughably simple. I turned off my water at the mains. That's it, no trespassing, no threats, no laws broken. Just off. But here's what most people don't know. In my country, rooftop water tanks use a ball valve. When water drops, the valve stays open and tells the pump to keep running until the tank fills. But if no water enters the system, the valve never closes. The pump keeps running constantly. I expected one thing, that his pump would eventually burn out. Annoying, but manageable. What I didn't expect was how bad it would actually get. I shut off the water on Monday night right when I heard his pump turn on. Then I went to sleep. At around 3 a.m., I woke up to voices. Multiple people. Confused. Panicked. Only one house on the street was awake. The neighbors, and then it hit me. His pump hadn't just been running nonstop. It had been pulling power continuously through 1990s-era wiring. The fuses blew. The wiring overheated. The entire house lost electricity, and without electricity, no water either. But that still wasn't the worst part. The tenants woke up furious. Shouting spilled into the street. Because in my country, water and electricity aren't conveniences. They're legally protected essentials. If a landlord cuts them off, even accidentally, it's a serious violation. And this wasn't a storm, not a city outage. It was his responsibility. Within 2 days, one tenant moved out. The second followed, and both did the same thing before leaving. They filed police complaints. That's when control fully slipped out of his hands. Here's something people outside my country don't realize. If a violation is obvious, police don't need a court ruling to act. They can fine first and let you appeal later. The investigation was simple. Outdated wiring, loss of essential services, tenant complaints. The landlord was found in breach. He was fined the equivalent of $500, a huge amount locally. He had to refund both security deposits, and he was barred from renting the property again until all issues were fixed. Repairs he couldn't afford. The power had shifted completely. Those tenants, they were his only income. He was a retired mechanic. No pension worth mentioning. By the end of the week, he couldn't afford to live alone. He's moving in with his daughter this Sunday. Then came the final moment. He came to my gate, calm, polite. He asked if I'd turned off my water recently. I said, truthfully, "Oh yeah. Had a leak. Turned it off until the plumber came." The look on his face, he knew something mattered. He just didn't know what. He nodded, said, "Oh, okay," and walked away. Here's the thing. I didn't ruin his life. I just stopped protecting him from the consequences of his own choices. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's just stepping aside and letting gravity do the rest. And all it takes is turning one valve off. Make sure you're subscribed, because trust me, living in this neighborhood, I've got stories for days.